Hello and welcome to Discovering Grayslake, unveiling the stories and people that make our town so unique. I'm your host, David Wool, and I'm thrilled to bring you this new podcast that explores fascinating stories and experiences of local business owners and community leaders, right here where we call home. Grayslake Rehabilitation Center is a community-based private practice physical therapy provider. Do you know they have 13 clinical providers with various levels of specialties, including orthopedics, sports, neurology, vestibular, geriatrics, pelvic floor, and aquatic? What? Did I just say they have a pool? Well, they do, and it's the largest indoor warm water pool in Lake County, featuring 2 underwater treadmills and swim currents, and recently added clinical treatment specialties, in layman's terms, shockwave. They have both radial and focus units that are the newest tool in regenerative medicine, available to everyone. They pride themselves on the most current and up-to-date specialized care to keep you moving. If you're looking for physical therapy, make sure to see our friends at Grayslake Rehabilitation. 1 minute, your world is normal. The next, it's gone. A flood, a fire, a crime scene. Your home shattered. Your business shut down. Your life on pause. But in the darkest hour, when chaos knocks at your door, that's when Servpro of Northwest Lake County shows up. Not just a company, not just a cleanup crew, but neighbors, parents, coaches, locals who care. Drake and his team aren't just restoring properties. They're restoring peace, restoring dignity, restoring lives. So when your worst day arrives, call the oh no guy who becomes your thank God guy. Servpro of Northwest Lake County. Locally owned, nationally known, unshakably trusted. From devastation to restoration. Servpro, Northwest Lake County. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Discovering Grayslake. I am recording here from Agora Coworking. Agora is on the corner of Atkinson and Washington, and this is a co-working space. So if you're looking for a place to get your office out of the house for a day, for a week, or even a lifelong home, it's a great place. Luke over here is a great dude. So if you're looking to get your business just out for a little bit, it is a very good place to go. But hurry up, because these places are filling up very fast. I've been over here for about a year and a half, and it is getting full. So today I have Drake Haig. Am I saying it right?
Yep.
From Servpro. How are you, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Good. We had to have a little chat before we got going, and it's funny to see all the mutual acquaintances that we have.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty crazy when you grow up in the smaller Grayslake area, especially with kids in sports and things like that. I feel like everybody knows everybody around here.
It does come together. So we're recording this at the beginning of baseball season, and you're coaching your boys?
I am, yeah. So I got 6 and 8 years old, both in Pinto. So we get hopefully practice tonight, weather dependent, but we'll see what happens.
We're not going to practice till after May. Exactly. Whenever you guys are listening, we're recording in April of 25, just so you guys know, because these things are out there forever. So where do your boys go to school then?
So both of them go to Meadowview. I got second and first grade.
You got your hands full.
Hands full all the time. Between work and kids, you know how that goes.
Exactly. It seems like you stay very busy as well.
I do, yeah. So between the business, coaching, and family, we're full time, nonstop.
Nice. Okay, so you have Servpro, but before we talk about that, I want to talk a little bit about your past and how you end up in Grayslake.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot, and folks, before we start talking, Drake has a lot of passion for this town. So give him a little background about how you get here.
Yeah. So I was originally from Libertyville, graduated from Libertyville High School, made my way down to Southern Illinois University for college. After college,
what did you go to school for?
I went to school for criminal justice and business management as well.
Okay.
So both those. Ended up not going in the criminal justice field, ended up going into the business field, which brought me an opportunity out in Phoenix, Arizona. So from Carbondale, moved out to Phoenix, was there for 8 years, met my wife, did pretty much the same thing as Servpro, worked for a company called Damage Control, doing water, fire, and mold restoration, what we do here. When I was out there, kind of a completely different wheelhouse than the Midwest.
Really?
Yep. So a lot of West Coast feelings, a lot of different, scenarios and things like that than what you get here. So after a while, started talking to my wife about wanting to raise the kids back in the Midwest, specifically in the Lake County area, because that's where I was from, and
right.
I think that we have a great place to raise young kids. So
besides the weather, yes, I agree.
Exactly,
1,000%.
right, 100%. It was kind of funny, just to touch base on that.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that got me was when I was there in the summertime. As my kids were still young, but I'm like, when it hits summer here, it's going to be 120 degrees. This is no, Lake County where we go out in the summer and our parents kicked us out when, it was cleaning time for them, and the front door was locked until the lights came back on. And when the lights came on, you knew it was time to come home. Back there, you couldn't do anything because it was 120 degrees in the summer. So I just thought it wasn't the right place for me to grow up. So I started looking into opportunities here. Saw the Grayslake area was open, and I was just sold, gung-ho on coming back. So convinced the wife, who had never been to the Midwest.
So she'd never been to the Midwest before?
Never been.
So you're a good salesman is what you're saying.
I am. And thank goodness to this crazy weather that we haven't had any really in the last 4 years. We've had very mild winters. And so she hasn't experienced a true Chicago winter yet. So I think she's probably in for that, the first major one we get, where it's cold for a month straight, or maybe a good solid blizzard and then the negative 30s. But so I feel like the gods have blessed me in that sense with her. So yeah, started to think about coming back here. Looked into opportunities to entrepreneurship down in this area, and inquired to Servpro, because I wanted to do what I was doing.
All right.
before.
So for people that don't know, what exactly does Servpro do?
Yeah. So we specialize in water restoration, fire remediation, trauma and crime scene cleanup, things like that. So pretty much everything insurance related that goes on in a home or a business, we handle on that level, commercial and residentially.
Gotcha.
We're taking a quick break just to say hello, because everybody knows Nano, and Nano knows real estate. And actually, I believe that's the name of her Instagram page. So if you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, or know somebody in the market for a home, contact Nano from Baird & Warner. She's a Grayslake girl helping out Grayslake people.
And I want to know a lot more about stuff. So somebody listening to the show maybe say, hey, Dave, you have a lot of people from the community on here that have different kind of businesses. Grayslake is made up, and every town is made up of businesses and entrepreneurs that run all kinds of different things, whether it's a donut shop or whatever. But Servpro is a service that many people can use. The reason and the background behind this show is that they get to know the owner. Like when I want to go hire somebody, I want to know who runs the show, right?
Absolutely.
And one of the reasons I appreciate you taking the time to be on here, because we have had businesses in town, and we all know somebody that's gone through a fire, a flood, anything like that. So I want to make sure that they know who the go-to guy is.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So like I said, yeah, we're the local owners in Grayslake. Right off of 83 is our office. I know we're kind of on the silent side, just because we do something a little bit different than most of the business owners that are known in Grayslake. Obviously, the main attractions on Center Street, things like that. We're kind of the oh no business, right?
You're the guy I don't want to have to
exactly. I'm the guy that nobody wants to call when they actually need us, just because that usually means that their house is in complete turmoil or their business is got a major issue going on. But yeah, so we are the locally owned. We're nationally known, but locally owned, family owned and operated here in Grayslake.
Gotcha. So what kind of service area does your company here do?
So we handle essentially the service areas like Grayslake, Antioch, Fox Lake, all the way up to the border over to Spring Grove, and then we have a second territory that is the Monday North Wakanda, so out of Grayslake, but down all the way down to Wakanda, over to Libertyville and back up.
So that's a big area.
Yeah, pretty big territory.
Yeah. Okay, so when people who is the main person that calls you around here? I like to know is it mold? Is it who's your clients? Do you work with realtors? Do you work with people? Is word of mouth? How does that work?
Yeah, so it is a mass. It's a large, I guess, opportunity for everybody. So it starts with the local person who calls, who I'm the first person that they just looked up water damage online, right? And then it goes to them. We know almost every single agent, insurance agent, which is great because when you're in a small town like this, a lot of people call their agents. So we know every agent in town, and oftentimes they say, hey, call Drake over at Servpro or call Servpro. We also have a lot of the insurance adjusters, right? So the folks who call their insurance and then say, hey, this happened, and they, the adjuster says, call these folks. The other main source is also like the fire departments and the police departments. They call us, God willing, after a fire, if somebody, a few broken windows and things like that, they need them boarded up. So we'll send a team out there. We're 24/7, 365, so we get the 2 o'clock calls from the fire department, or, God forbid, on the trauma crime scene cleanup from the police departments if something major happened and it's got to be secured or cleaned or anything like that.
Wow, so you do that part. When you first said that, I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, give me an example of like a crime scene thing that you would have to clean up.
Yeah, so like any bloodborne pathogens, things like that, or, decay, unfortunately. But so somebody passes away and they're not found for months. Obviously the coroner, handles everything, but we do the cleanup post after that. So that's always the hardest part of the business, is clearly that side of things. With the trauma crime scene cleanup, it's tough. You're dealing with family members. You're dealing with all that stuff that are the unknown side of things.
Yeah, I don't think that if I signed up for your job, I wouldn't have put that in on my checklist of things that I thought we'd have to do, right?
Yeah, it's a very intricate thing, and honestly, most people don't. There's only a few people that we have that are certified to do it. And hold a trauma crime scene cleanup certification, things like that. So it does take a special person to be able to, kind of shut their brain off and just go in and knock it out.
Okay, so you're the oh no guy to call.
I'm the oh no guy.
But at the same time, it must be there has to be probably pretty rewarding parts of your job, right? That you get to really help people.
There is. So the most rewarding part, I would say, is we are a one-stop shop. So you get a water job or a fire job, right? We have to, get the wet material out, get everything dried. But we are also a contractor, so we put things back together, right? So we're a one-stop shop. So from removal to put back. So obviously the most rewarding is after something major's happened, when we're right on the back end stretch and we're moving folks back into their house and things are done and they're coming back to a newly renovated place. The most rewarding for sure, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you get to see that. You get to see it from the total shit end of everything to seeing a family move either back in their home or their business.
Right. I see them right at their worst moment when, usually on the board up side when the fire just happened and, the fire department's still on scene to the final touches of, unwrapping their furniture that's been stored for 6 months and putting it back in the house. So we see both ends, and it's... You get to know everybody very, very well because you're with them for 6 to 8 months after a fire because these things aren't quick. You know what I mean? They take a very long time especially in today's world, with things on back order, with construction materials on back order, things like that.
Supply chains.
Exactly. So we're with them for a long time. So it's rewarding, and they almost become family, on a lot of these projects.
And hopefully they don't have to use your service again, but they can recommend you to other people, right?
It's amazing to me, though, like how many folks we've been, in the Grayslake area for 5 years, and it's amazing that all of a sudden this business is changing to where God forbid, the secondary things that have happened to them in 5 years, right? So they had something upstairs and then the sump pump goes out, right? And that is another very rewarding part of this business is when you get the second call back, right? Because you did such a good job on the first time that they called you back when something else, God forbid, happened in the home or the business.
Yeah, because these are things they have to trust somebody like big time. This is your home.
This is your business
where your children live, right?
100%.
That's super important.
Yeah, very, very personal when you're in somebody's home and they're trusting you to move contents and their belongings and all those things. Yeah, it becomes very personal.
Wow.
Yeah.
We also talked a little bit about because we always get to chat a little bit before we hit record. Talk about some things that maybe people advice that you can give to people, stuff to look out for. We were talking about like insurance things, like even like our personal things that you and I have insured, or maybe they open our eyes that we don't have. So advice to people to prepare for the worst, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're not an insurance salesman, so this is legit advice.
Yeah, this is just advice from the guy who is on the back end of things that hears the biggest complaints about things. My biggest advice for the general public would be when you sign up for an insurance policy, just don't sign right away. Just take your time to really ask them, what does this cover, things like that. As your home ages, obviously, in today's world, it gains value, right? And with that value gain, everything has gained value, right? So the cost of flooring, the cost of drywall, the cost of trim, the cost of cabinetry, all these things have gone through the roof, right? So if, for instance, you have a catastrophe to where a fire affects your home, just make sure that you are insured properly for those damages, right? So if you insured in early 2000s and you haven't touched your policy, you've just paid your premiums, and your home was $200,000, your home's probably worth $400,000 now, right? So you need to reevaluate those things to make sure that when this happens on your worst day, you're also not stressed about, well, I have $200,000, but to get my home fully rebuilt because of a fire, it's going to cost me $325,000. So those are probably the hardest things. The other small things are just minutia details that we can get past, and you can work with folks to get through, but definitely your coverage limits are a huge thing that you can just go to your local adjuster and or your local agent, insurance agent, and just pick their brain and say, hey, if God forbid my house sustained a major fire in today's world, do I have enough coverage to cover getting my house put back together, my personal contents, like all those things that people don't understand, that you have coverage for your house, you have coverage for your own personal contents. If you've bought a ton of new furniture, you need to make sure that you're properly insured for that stuff. So if something does happen, you have the funds to replace it all.
Absolutely. And I think as far as timely that we're talking about this, I get back things in, especially living in Grayslake. Our property values have gone up significantly. Yes. And even I've owned this house for a very short time, but in the busy world that we live in, you get your insurance renewal, and you get in the mail, make sure to look this over and make sure everything's fine. And most people I know I ignored it this year, and just premium went up a little bit. I just did it, not knowing that my house was worth $100,000 more than it was before.
Right. Exactly.
So it's smart to look at.
It is. It's very smart to look at.
Right.
And
what happens in the situation that does, that you walk in and they don't have it insured?
Yeah. So, I mean, it happens, I would say the number one place that it happens is on sump pumps, because a sump pump, it's a special type of insurance that most people don't know they have to have. It's not just included in an everyday insurance policy, right? So there's a rider on your sump pump, and you have a limit for that, right? So if folks don't have it, it's tough, because the majority of the people in Grayslake and Lake County, the homes are so established that they're finished basements, right? So when there's a finished basement, I mean, if you think about just the basics of carpet in today's world, if you have to remove the carpet and pad, that's $3,000 to replace that in today's world. So,
and that's happened to me twice, by the way, in the 4 years that the sump pump went out, and I do not have that coverage.
Yeah, exactly. So those are and then we just try to find a way to work with the homeowner to make sure that they can get at least sustainable, wet materials out, so there's no secondary damage or things like that, until, some folks save enough money to put the basement back together, right? And so when we go back to the coverage issues, I would recommend everybody just find out if they have a rider on their sump pump, because almost every single home in Grayslake has a basement, and that if it floods, 99% of the time it's from the sump pump, you know. And so if you have the rider for $8 a month and it's for $20,000 in coverage, it makes your life so much less stressful when the, God forbid, you got to pick up the phone and call me. You have the coverage that you need to get your basement back.
Yeah, that's huge.
Huge.
That is huge, and great advice, because I look back and go, how many people could have really been that, or you're screwed and your basement's done, and then you're out of your savings money that you had to fix things like that.
100%. We talk about it all the time. I think it's literally $8 or $9, and it's probably the best $8 or $9 you could spend a month.
Okay, I know what I'm doing when I get home. I know what I do when
exactly,
I'm
right?
Today.
100%.
Hey, neighbors, this is Bill Mock with the Grayslake Chamber of Commerce. And if you're looking for a network of hard-working, customer-focused, and generally friendly local businesses who are dedicated to helping each other succeed, then I'd like to invite you to check out and consider joining our Grayslake Chamber. We offer our members so many ways to advance their businesses through social networking events, special event sponsorships, informative lunch and learns, and the ever-popular after-hours mixers. Come see why we say we're the new wave of business here in Lake County.
So I laugh at Chops because I do a lot of different things. So every time my phone rings, I don't know if I'm doing a video on worm poop that's going to be sold at Ace Hardware, or we're doing drone here. This must be a really interesting job for you when you guys get a service call, because you have no idea what every day brings, right?
It is so different what it brings, because it is a vast majority. We also do like specialty cleaning, right? So we have a few contracts with large commercial buildings that just need, high lift cleaning of the rafters and things like that. But, they don't have people that are high lift certified and things like that. So the phone can ring for a general cleaning of a high lift, or it can ring for, like we talked about before, for a crime scene cleanup, or it can be, the fire department requesting a board up for a major fire that just happened. It's such a vast majority of things that one day it's one thing and the other day it's completely different.
Which kind of makes it fun too, right?
It does. Nothing's the same.
And challenging, or the oh shit days and the this is no problem days, right?
I think we have the oh shit days a lot because we go from, like I said, from a fire to, like I said, 45-foot scaffolding cleanings and things like that, and it's such a vast difference that it's like, wow, this is pretty intricate, but we find a way to do it and we just get it done.
Right. And I also want to make people aware too that since we got to talk, I see the passion you have for your job. I see how you like to help people and be part of the community. A lot of people think when they like a chain like Servpro, so you own service areas for this. Not all Servpros are the same because they have different ownership, different employees, things like that.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. So the one that handles our local area all the way in surrounding areas is Servpro of Northwest Lake County. Okay. That is the specific Servpro that handles this area. You're right. There is we are locally owned and operated, like I said. So my wife, April, and I, we own this 100%. There is no real – it is different in the franchise side of things that there's no real tie to the corporate office, right? So everything we do here is ran through us. We don't do anything other than use the name of Servpro. Right. So everybody that works for us is in the community, right? And we're so lucky to have the people that we do work for us that are in the community. We have a great staff that just I trust to be in people's homes, and they get it. They're all from the surrounding area, and everybody's local, and it's just I'm so fortunate to have it. But yeah, we are local here. I feel like there's a Servpro now on every corner. You know what I mean? Everybody sees the Servpro brand, and it's on every corner now. But I think that it does set us apart. The sense that everybody's local here that is part of our team, and it's instilled to them the nationally known but locally owned is sure. We're a family.
Okay, so how many employees do you have?
We have 15 employees.
15.
Yeah. 15 full time.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And people that never owned a business said that owning a business is a great thing. Owning a business with 5 employees is a good thing. With 10 is good. And the more you get, right? And a lot of times it can be more of a hassle, more people to manage.
Yeah. I mean, like we were talking about before, obviously the show came on. I kind of gave you the brief rundown, and like I said, most Servpros are bought from, somebody who's already established the business, who's up and running. Servpro Northwest Lake County, which was the Grayslake area, we bought as an open territory. So there was never Servpro here. There was nobody here before. We bought it. And so I was telling Dave in the beginning that, the first 3 months we got one call. And so
right. How much did you clear that year?
We cleared
that month.
The first 3 months we cleared $1,600.
Nice work.
So we did a whopping $1,600 in 3 months, and I thought for sure I made the wrong decision. Right. I thought we were closing the doors. I had to tell my wife, who I just moved across the country, that hey, we got to shut down and we got to go somewhere else.
Hey, the weather sucks, and by the way, we're closing the business.
Yeah, we're broke. Right. So aside from like the locally the local business, which is 99.9% of everything we do is in the local community, we also go on hurricane relief. So after those 3 months, I remember we were almost broke, and Hurricane Ian came up through the East Coast, and it hit New York, it hit Rhode Island, and it hit all those areas up there. And I went to the local trailer shop on 83. I bought a 16-foot trailer with like almost the last of our money, and I loaded it up with everything I had, and I said, hey, we're going to Pennsylvania to make a little bit of money to try to do it, right? So
no way.
Went out there for 14 days, made enough to, keep the business open, and it was like something happened, and we got back, and the phone started ringing, right? And then it rang, and it rang, and it rang. So the wildest thing to me is when we go from the first 3 months, because we've been here for 5 years. This is our 5th year in operation, And so when we went from $1,600 in 3 months to 15 employees full time, it's a large learning curve in 5 years, And just like every business owner, right. I look at it and I go, wow, it was an ugly 5 years, right? Because it grew so fast, so quick. But when we look back at it and I see the majority of the people that are just life changed from the fire that happened and our team got them there, it's a cool feeling to see, right? And it's cool to see, myself and one employee to 15 employees, right? And just like you said, does it get harder to manage? Yeah, absolutely. Because you don't, as much as I want to, I just don't have the personal touch of, I used to be the guy that was face to face with everybody every single day.
Every client, right?
So that's the other hard part about this industry is that on top of everything else is I have to trust these folks to go into the community, the local community, and do a good job for every single person, right? And so there's a lot of vetting and a lot of time that goes into hiring folks.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure that can't be the easiest thing to do to hire somebody that, like you said, the words that you said that struck me were to go into someone's home, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, to go into someone's home with their biggest possession that they have, and you guys have the privilege of taking care of that and getting it back right for them.
Absolutely.
That's a huge thing.
Huge.
Okay, yep. I'm very interested when you said that so hurricane happens out there and you buy the trailer and you load up. That must have been an interesting experience.
It was. So that was our first one. We're on 4 now. So we've done 4.
Really?
Yeah, we've done 4 hurricane cleanups. And so it's a very, very interesting way to do things. So that is one thing that helps us out on the Servpro corporate side of things is we're nationally known, locally owned, but when these folks have these catastrophes everywhere, right?
Can't even imagine being in that as a homeowner as anything, right?
100%. And so their house was devastated from 4 feet of water going through it. And the other hard part is that, when we get the call, there's 1,900 people who have called Servpro who need help. So kind of what happens is once you get to a certain size in Servpro to where you have enough people to handle your local area as well as you can go help folks in other territories, you become part of a recovery team, right? And so that recovery team allows you to go and help folks, right? So when we grew enough to be able to help was really the first one we didn't grow enough, and I just said, "Hey, I'm going."
Right.
It was sink or swim, right? So I kind of went out there on my own
out of
that
necessity.
One. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So now, they call us and they ask us to go help folks out, right? So then we've done Naples, we've done West Palm Beach, we just did Tampa this year. So usually we send guys down there for about 4 to 6 weeks. They stay, we get them an Airbnb, they stay in an Airbnb, and we take half of our assets down there and they just go and they knock out jobs 7 days a week. So it is a daunting task. It's a lot of work. But it's extremely rewarding there because, it's every single house is just destroyed by these things, and it's a very, very hard thing. We're actually loading up on Friday. The crew's loading up they're going down to Kentucky due to the massive storms there. So we got a couple crews going down to Kentucky to help out down there, and it's tough to see because here it's tough. It's one person, but there it's the whole town. People don't understand after these hurricanes. Sometimes we pull up to a house and 10 people are at the van. Hey, can you come here next? Can you come here next? Can you come here next? So it gets very overwhelming very quick.
Well, of course, and you want to help everybody, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But you can't. I always wonder with things like that when you travel to we think it's a luxury to go out to somewhere in Florida, whether you're going to Tampa or whatever. I was just in West Palm Beach watching my son play baseball.
Yeah.
And West Palm Beach, for the most part, looks okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But not that far after. You think about the manpower, man and woman power, whatever you want to call it, the people that come through like you guys that's huge jobs to take care of people, right?
Yeah, it's huge jobs, and it's
like, where do you start? I wouldn't have any idea.
It really is. And the crazy thing, the most eye-opening thing is when you drive down the roads and there's 12-foot piles of trash, and it's a very, very humbling experience to see everybody's life possessions just at the end of the street, and then you see 5 or 6 tractors just with claws come and pick up these people's entire lives and put it in the back of a trailer and send it to the dump. And it is.
Wow.
It's a very humbling experience.
Yeah, and probably makes you feel extremely grateful for what we have.
100%.
Right.
I'll take cold winters, right?
I'll take the sump pump going out and having a little flood in the basement,
yeah,
right?
Instead of 6 feet
your
of water
right.
going through your house.
Yeah, what do those people do? Like, they all have to be displaced then, too, right?
Yeah, so they're displaced. And that's the other hard part is that on top of being displaced, there's so many displaced that hotels are filled. Everyone's car is destroyed, so then car rentals are gone.
I wouldn't even think of that.
The other part to think about is when you get down there, oftentimes there's no cell phone service, there's no transactions because the power has gone out from these hurricanes, so you can't buy things in the store, you can't buy water, you can't buy toiletries, you can't call people because cell towers are down. It is like almost going to a third world country, and
wow.
it's very, very humbling.
Wow. Yeah, because I'd say just from the fact of like drinking water, right?
That's exactly it, 100%. And
right.
It's all gone from the stores. So when we go down, oftentimes, so like last time we went down to Tampa, we do a few things. Like we brought 5 or 6 pallets of water down, right? And we distribute it out to however we can help as much people as possible.
That's awesome.
It is. It's the most rewarding part of obviously doing this stuff is being able to help these folks and who have literally nothing, right? And so like 6 pallets of water and it's gone in a day. People are begging just for a case of water. And once finally it gets open and we can get the Red Cross in there and all those things and people are getting water, it becomes a much more calm environment and things like that, but it is still it's like driving through a war zone. Just there's piles of trash and there's sand everywhere, and it's something you can't picture.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are the kind of experiences that I think about, like when you're sitting and you move from Arizona, then you come back and then settle in Grayslake, and you're going to have this business and everything, and you turn around and that's the kind of shit that you're actually go and deal with.
Yeah.
Where I'm sure it's financially rewarding, but at the same time, there's a lot more that goes into it, right? You get a lot more satisfaction of being able to help people.
Yeah, 100%.
Because they need it. Like
Absolutely.
They need it desperately.
Yes, exactly. Like here, at these times, when somebody needs service, if you're delayed at all, there's another phone call you can make and somebody's there, right? When we get down there, oftentimes because it takes us, a day to mobilize everything here and to find a living down there, and then a day and a half, 2 days to drive. These folks are 4 or 5 days in and they've called 20 people and nobody can get to them for 3-4 weeks.
I can't imagine being in that position.
Yeah.
And you're just freaking out.
Yeah. People are freaking out down there, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do. They've been stuck in an apartment or a hotel and they have nothing, and all of their possessions are filled with ocean water, and it's done. Yeah. Right. It's a pretty humbling.
Wow. And then you go on the other side, like just all the fires in California, like that completely wiped, like everything. They just have to start from nothing.
Yes.
Right?
They have to start from nothing. 100%.
Which I can't even, just watching some drone shots of some other stuff of like, how do you clean it out? How do you get started again? What is the basics that they have to run? Because it's crazy.
And like we have I've been fortunate enough to where doing this every 5 years, there's a yearly meeting at Servpro, right? And we meet a ton of other owners, right? Yeah. And it's amazing to me that like we think we have it hard sometimes, but for instance, California, like they haven't even cleared people to go into these areas and start. Like, so if your house didn't burn down and you just wanted to get your house clean, you can't because the local government's not allowing it for permitting purposes and things like that. So these folks are going on 3-4 months now and they have nothing of their possessions because they can't even get in there and do it.
Blows me away.
Yeah.
So count your blessings today.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
One of those big
Don't mean
things.
to be daunting on your podcast or anything, but it's just the real life side of these natural disasters.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But it's good, and that's what you obviously are trained for, and you do. And I'm sure you learn a little bit more every time on other things that you can do to make your job easier or better too.
Yeah, we learn so much every single time we go out of what we do differently each time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many? I know that you're friends with John from the Freeze.
Yep.
Did you listen to his episode?
I did.
Okay. Yeah, he's full of crap, but
I listened to all the episodes. But yeah, John, one of the best guys in Grayslake, obviously.
Oh,
we love John and the Freeze and everything. Speaking of that, so that's such the great part about Grayslake, right? Is the local community here. I really got to know John, obviously from bringing my kids to the freeze 3 or 4 days a week, right? Because every day after school, if I have to pick my kids up, the first thing they ask is, can we go to the freeze? And I can't turn down the freeze, right? So
absolutely not.
But for instance, like, it's amazing to me, the local community here. So as you know, I have no hair, right? So I don't get the pleasure of getting my hair cut, but both with a 6 and 8 year old boy, I think we're at Good American Barber every 3 weeks. You know,
nice.
Myra's cutting
Shout
the boys.
out to Myra. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Myra's cutting the boys. So it's amazing to me. Like, one day, Myra and I were talking business, and she was like, hey, you know, I'm part of this women's group that, you know, helps some folks that are a little less fortunate. Would you be interested in sponsoring a back to school program for some kids that need some backpacks and stuff? Obviously, I have a 6 and 8 year old, and if you see, like, if you happen to see, like, I would say probably 80% of our local sponsorships are for youth things, right? And we love sponsoring the kids, right? And
your phone's going to blow up right now, by the way, just so you know.
We do. We truly enjoy sponsoring whatever youth events we can, all these things. I'm huge on the kids and stuff. So Myra asked if we could sponsor it. I said, whatever I can do, just let me know, and I want to take care of it, right? And she's like, hey, so we need, you know, 400 hot dogs and some drinks and things for this, a housing complex in Waukegan that we're going to go cut hair, and we're going to get them a lunch and try to hand out some backpacks. And I said, I'm the first person in, just whatever I need to do, right? So she's like, how can you make 400 hot dogs happen? And obviously, you know, my first phone call was One Dog and Suds is still being renovated, right? And he's going to be back up and running soon. But it went to John. I've known John forever. And, you know, John's always just a yes man when it comes to the kids as well. So I said, hey, John, what do you think about splitting this and getting 400 hot dogs? And, of course, John, whatever I need to do, just let me know. I'll make it happen, right? Yeah. And so that's how I became such good friends with John. And his business is just – you know, whatever he can do to help the community. And that's the greatest part about Grayslake is it starts with Myra, right? Another local business owner. It goes from this business owner, and everybody can just team up and help. And it's super awesome to see how it works. And
it is amazing. And every fundraiser I've done, whether we say, okay, we're going to do a bachelorette auction or whatever we're going to do, and I need 10 sponsors. Usually by the end of that afternoon, there's at least 10 people, business owners in this town, that are very much yes people that just want to help others, because I think a lot of people, we do realize how privileged we are.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? With the community we live in.
Absolutely.
And how much good can be done in numbers, right? Mm-hmm. If it's you doing it and John doing it and me doing it and all of our other sponsors doing it, it's like everybody coming together can make not only our town, but we talked about raising money for people in other towns. Like Grayslake can be a force and help out other towns that aren't as fortunate as we are.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's cool. So shout out to everybody out there that, whether you're buying Girl Scout cookies, or you're helping the GYBA out with, you know, this, or you're sending some kids to Cooperstown or the dance club. And there are so many fundraisers in this town.
There is. And for instance, is one for you, Dave, and we didn't get to talk about this before, but I sit on the board of directors for CEDAW. And, you know, I remember about a year ago, Myra being like, hey, I told Dave to get you on the podcast, right? And I was like, okay, cool, I'll wait for him to reach out. And then John's like, hey, I told him to put you on the podcast, and he reached out. In between those times, I remember like this, you know, sitting in on a board meeting, and Ann from CEDAW was like,
Subri?
Yeah, Ann Subri was like, and Dave's going to go help out for the ping pong charity and over in Libertyville. And I was like, oh, wow, this is crazy. You know what I mean? And so just like, you know, you and the podcast and the way that you're able to host DJing things like that. And it was super cool. You know what I mean? I'd never been on the show, but I heard that Dave Wool was going to go help out, and that's in Libertyville. And it is. It's for the, you know, the
How
kids.
do you not help the CEDAW kids?
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so, you know, that was another thing was when I first became a business owner, you know, it's just the way that word travels. And, you know, Ann's husband was like, hey, I think you should really, you know, look into this event. And I went to one event and I was hooked, and I was like, what can we do to help out, right? And so we became on the board, right? And so we sit on the board for them, and then it's amazing.
That's really awesome.
It is. It's cool. And it's like, it's one of those things that you can do, but nobody can return the favor, right? It's one of those things. And you are the same way. When you go help with the ping pong, you can go do it, and they just can't return the favor for you, right? There's nothing they can do you can just make them a million times better. Yes. So,
and that is one foundation. I'm not going to interrupt you, but Grayslake, if you guys can any way to help out CEDAW, you get a letter in the mail, you see an event they having, just a little donation or your time, CEDAW really needs the help, and they are just helping so many kids out. It's so amazing.
It really is. So, but just to get back to, like, you're a local business owner here. You help out, CEDAW, which is, all over, and this event was in Libertyville. You're willing to help out, and that's just the greatest part about being in this community, especially on the entrepreneurship side with these business owners. They're so willing. The Vine, the First Draft, Emils, all these folks that they just find a way to, I'll do it and I'll make it happen,
Right.
So.
And people that do it, too, that aren't, they don't even have to be, if you're a Grayslake business listening right now and you're not doing super successful. I always find it amazing that, people say that, things come back. I've seen people that are struggling in their businesses that are involved with every charity, and somehow they end up being super successful. I don't know how this world works, but it does come back.
It does, 100%.
And even when it doesn't, when you get to be involved with volunteering or being a part of the CEDAW thing, you meet great people that we raise everybody up, right?
You really do.
You'd be a better person by hanging out with Ann Subery and Mark Bechtold over at running the ping pong thing and get to hang out at Mickey Finn's and drink beer and play ping pong. Absolutely. And raise money for kids.
100%.
Right?
Absolutely.
So that's the good stuff right
there.
There.
It really is. It's the best part about it.
It really is.
Being able to help those folks. And just like you said, I agree with you on people who are struggling. Like, the more you just get out, and it's not even so much sponsoring, but if you can get out even on things like volunteering time with, for instance, CEDAW, right? They're always looking for volunteers for events because they host some really cool events. Ping pong, fun event, right? Dinner dances, great events. Mm-hmm. But if you are local, and I've had so many referrals just from going somewhere to help out and meeting somebody, and then it just goes down and down the road. Yes. And it's a great cool.
Absolutely. And you know what, I want to give one more shout out to, because I was on the phone with him yesterday, is my buddy Michael Woolner, who runs the Bake Share in Grayslake. So I think on Thursdays he has a group of CEDAW kids come over and he teaches them how to bake.
Amazing.
Isn't that awesome?
So awesome.
I'm like, even if I hated him, Michael, I don't hate, but what a super cool dude. Like, that's the kind of shit that everybody can have a hand in, to do something to help, right?
100%.
To make the world a better place.
Absolutely.
On a local level, too, Either some people can write the check, some people have extra time to teach kids how to bake. Right?
Absolutely.
It's
100%.
Just really cool.
It is cool.
Okay, so about here, I'm a little past my time, but if you've listened to things, we do a little thing we call the Grayslake Hot Seat. And we're going to get to know a little bit more about Drake.
The Grayslake Hot Seat is brought to you by Joe Velez at JPV Financial. It's often said that those who fail to plan are planning to fail. Joe Velez and his team at JPV Financial create unique financial plans that address some of the most difficult challenges that people might face as they get older. No matter what stage of life you're in, having a proactive financial plan can help navigate some of the difficult decisions you'll face, helping you live your life by design, not default. Securities and investment advisory service offered through Osaic Wealth Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Now for the Grayslake Hot Seat. Hey, thanks, Joe.
All right. If you've listened to a bunch of these, I'm going to try to. And every time I do this, I say I'm switching a bunch of shit around, and I do my best. When you first meet someone, what do they do? What impresses you about someone when you meet them?
Willingness to talk and be open, actually, have a conversation is by far, because our industry is full of talking. So it's very important to me.
I'm sure it is. And it'd be surprising that not everybody is like that. People seem to be sometimes shelled up when they shouldn't be.
Absolutely.
Right? Tell me something on your bucket list, something you really want to do, whether it's personally with the family, something on your bucket list.
Biggest bucket list would be probably to go to Europe. I have a big desire to go see other countries and, Europe, Ireland, all those places.
Nice. Okay, so up to now, if your life was a book, what would the title of the book be so far?
Oh, man. I would have to say it would be something along the lines of Try Until You Succeed would be for sure one of those things.
Yeah, because you could have given up, too.
I could have.
Nice.
3 months in, $1,600. I almost gave up.
I love it. And we were talking about people that success stories. Like, sometimes you got to be almost at the bottom.
That's the book. That's the book cover. 3 months in, $1,600. That's the title of the book.
And go.
There we go.
Besides your wife and your kids, if you're stranded on a desert island, who do you want with you?
Bear Grylls. Bear Grylls. I want to survive.
Okay. That is excellent. If you could win an Olympic medal, what would it be in?
Ooh.
I don't think I've ever asked that one before.
That's a good one. I'm going to say probably the 100-yard dash.
100-yard dash?
Yeah.
Did you play a sport in high school?
I did. I played lacrosse, wrestling, and I wasn't fast enough for track and field. That's why I want to win a 100-yard dash.
Nice. And you went to LHS?
I did.
Libertyville?
Yep. Graduated from Libertyville.
Nice. What's the last thing you Google searched?
Last thing I Google searched this morning was probably ChatGPT, my new favorite thing.
Right. Okay. What did you look up on ChatGPT?
What did I look up? I looked up.
What did you have it help you with?
I actually had it make a list for me for the guys this morning about necessary things on a truck during a situation, and it's amazing what it brought up. It brought up like 4 pages, and I printed it out and I gave it to the guys. I said, "Here you go, guys."
Awesome.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I use it a lot. I don't use it for the normal things. And if you use it all the time and you're sending somebody a letter, take out all the emojis and take out the word delve too, because delve they like to use as well. Do you have a boat?
I do not have a boat.
If you had a boat, what would you name it? Because every vessel has to have a name.
Yeah. Oof. So
1 month and $1,600.
Yeah, exactly, right. That's kind of funny. I would probably name it Hunting Nemo.
Hunting Nemo?
Yeah.
I
love fishing, so I'd probably name it Hunting Nemo.
That's awesome. What kind of music do you listen to?
Oh, gosh. I listen to everything. Majority is country music.
Gotcha. New country, old country?
Both.
Both. Cool. Do you believe in ghosts?
I do not believe in ghosts.
Okay.
But
I like the buts.
It's kind of funny. 2 days ago, we had an empty house, and one of my guys did say that there's nobody in the house, and he got hit in the back of the head with a little plastic like ball from somewhere, and it was like with force. And so it made me. And it was a wild, like, empty house. It got hit with force. He said, like, it felt it and heard it bounce on the ground, looked over, and it was like a little white pellet.
Really?
Yeah, so.
Interesting.
The last 2 days. So now you ask me that.
Now your eyes are going to be open to different
really
things.
Making me think about this question.
Just don't go back into the house.
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself street smarts or book smarts?
100% street smart. No book smarts.
Yeah,
I think if you asked every single teacher in LHS if I was going to be a successful entrepreneur, they would have said not in a million years.
Right. Is he going to work with his hands, or is he going to be in? Yeah.
Luckily, majority of it's with my hands now in the business.
Nice. If you had to have a superpower, what would it be?
I'm going to say flying.
Flying.
Yeah, I would love to be able to fly. That'd be cool.
Just for fun, or for like get places faster? A little bit of both.
Both, yeah. 100%.
I guess there's a lot of things that come with flying.
Yeah.
All right, one of my favorite ones, and I have to ask everybody because for some reason there's so much nostalgia behind it. First car you ever had?
First car I ever had was a...
And everybody has that look on your face that you have right now, too. The smile.
Believe it or not, my first car was not a car. It was a 1999 Harley-Davidson.
What?
Yeah. First, and it was a very, very bad decision, but... my dad in California gave all of us $3,500 to buy a car, and I lived in Libertyville with my mom, and I decided I was going to buy a motorcycle. So that went really well up until about November.
The winter time.
Yeah, the winter time here. Yeah.
That's hilarious. So I've never had anybody answer that with a motorcycle.
First
so that's
was
great.
A motorcycle.
And it was a Harley too.
It was a Harley.
Good.
Yeah.
Nice work. Do you have a hidden talent?
No, nothing special at all. I wish. Nothing special. Other than making you laugh from the other side.
Yes, I may or may not have some cracked ribs and I'm laughing over here. That's a story for another day.
We'll have to get into that.
Yeah, we're not going to touch
that.
Not today, though. So, would the 12-year-old version of yourself think you're cool?
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
I like when we can answer that and say, yeah.
Yeah.
Although then I look back and I go, well, 12-year-olds don't really think anybody's cool.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, 100%. I don't even know. I'm still cool to my 8-year-old, thank goodness, right? But I can see that on the verge of changing. So
Yes.
I don't want to renege my answer because I still think, yeah, most 12-year-olds will think I'm cool, but I drive bright green vans and all that. So, I mean, what's not cool about that?
I know.
I'm not as cool as John at the Freeze. Like,
No.
I mean, I don't own an ice cream shop that makes everybody happy, but I do what I can.
And he's a fireman.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, the dude's just got it all going for him, you know?
I kind of don't like him. He kind of sucks. But I will go there for ice cream tonight.
Exactly, right?
For sure. We were, speaking of that, when you say you have your 8-year-old, and my older kids, I have a 20-year-old and a 17-year-old. And somebody's like, well, you like him, like, you know, better than us. I'm like, well, yeah, he still thinks I'm cool. He snuggles with me. I can say, hey, let's watch, you know, he wants to watch all the Rocky movies over again. Like, we hang out.
Yeah, exactly.
We're like buddies.
I'm fearful of the 17 and 20. I'm fearful.
Just enjoy the heck out of it.
Exactly.
Man. And don't be their friend, be their dad.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to do that. 100%.
I did all that wrong. Do you have a nickname?
I don't. No, just Drake.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess when you got a cool first name.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
it's pretty unique, you know.
But no nickname.
No nickname.
If a guy had a motorcycle as a first car, you should have something.
Should have, right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you wish you would have learned sooner in life?
I probably would have wished that I learned that like failure is really an option to succeed. Just because I've learned so much from failure, and I was so hard on myself in the beginning when I failed that like there's always a bright light at the end of it. And like every time we fail, we get through it and we gain so much knowledge from it. But I think that I hindered myself from a lot of growth early on because I felt like when we failed, we were just, that was it, right? And
right.
So definitely like don't be so scared of failing. It's especially like for people who are thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, like you're gonna fall flat on your face so many times, but as long as you like learn from it, it usually helps you out so much more in this world.
Yeah, I forget who I was talking about, like, you know, what's the best thing that ever happened to you? And somebody said, well, when I got fired from my dream job that I thought I had, I got fired and then was forced to do something and turn his whole life around and end up being an entrepreneur and had something that he never would have ever done.
Super awesome.
Yeah, and then met his wife and had beautiful children, like all of these things. So sometimes the shit things that happen.
Yeah, they usually, yes, great. Exactly, right? That's always happens for a reason.
Yes. And when you're in those times of your life, that's when you go and you volunteer at CEDAL and you help people. When you think you have it bad, give back.
Exactly.
And watch what happens.
Yep, 100%.
Have you ever eaten a roller dog from a gas station?
I heard this on the other one. And I have eaten endless amounts of roller dogs. In this industry, obviously, I think I spend 40 hours a week in my car.
Yeah.
And my wife is the first one to tell me that like my lunchbox stays in the fridge at the office. And she goes, "Did you eat anything today?" I go, "Yeah." She goes, "What'd you eat?" "I ate a slice of pizza from Casey's, or I ate a few roller dogs from Thornton's."
Right.
100% I am guilty of it all the time.
Okay, so for the people that get on here, that don't know a roller dog, what a roller dog is, or maybe they frown upon it, I think they're okay. Do you have any other suggestions? They have the other, what do they call them? The
taquitos?
Taquitos.
Yeah.
It's not bad stuff.
No,
Right.
I mean, it's not good for you, but it definitely gets you through the day.
We're all going to die of something.
100%, right?
I mean,
you might as well enjoy food. I'm a huge food guy, so I mean, being from a huge food guy, and I'm never hesitant to go in and grab a roller dog.
Right. Do not fear the roller dog.
Do not fear the roller dog.
Let's get some T-shirts made like that.
Exactly.
Had to have a theme party at your house. What would it be?
Oh, man. Theme party. That's a good question. I would say probably... Gosh, I don't even know. You're making me think because...
Yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah, and I can't think. Okay. All I can think about is the Kentucky Derby theme party that I'm going to on the 26th.
Oh, yes, those are good.
Yeah, so...
Derby parties are good.
Derby party.
All right, now we'll do one that doesn't take a lot of thought to answer. Name of your first pet?
Annie.
Annie, and the name of the street you grew up on?
Garfield Avenue.
So your adult film star name would be Annie Garfield?
Annie Garfield.
I think we're going to stick with Drake. Yeah. Well, I'm going to leave that one completely alone and not even go any further. There's so many avenues to go. Favorite Grayslake event to attend?
It's got to be the Taste of Grayslake for sure.
The summer days, like
Summer
the
days,
bands and all that.
Love that.
It's so great just to see everybody.
It really is. Yeah.
Most people have no idea what to do with their aging loved one who needs help. Well, there is a solution. A company that provides care and assistance to make your loved one feel right at home. At Right at Home, their mission statement is to improve the quality of life for those they serve. They offer extensive services: personal and companion care, safety supervision and transportation, fall prevention, dressing and bathing assistance, medical reminders, meal prep, hospice support, ambulation support, stroke recovery, Parkinson's support. The list goes on and on and on. If you have an aging loved one that needs help, call Right at Home. Most people prefer to age in their home rather than moving to an assisted living or nursing home. Right at Home can make this happen. Contact Right at Home at rightathomenlc.com or give them a call, 847-984-0103. Now back to the show.
Let's do one more, and then we'll... hey, bartender, can I have a...
Jack and Diet Coke.
Ooh, Jack and Diet.
Yeah, Jack and Diet.
All right, that works. Well, this one. Have you ever won an award?
I've won a few with Servpro. We actually won a big one this year.
What was it?
I won the Rolex Award this year, so that was an exciting one to win.
Did you get a Rolex?
We will be getting a Rolex in July.
Now, when you say we, so something you have to share?
My wife and I.
Okay.
So since we're both owners of it. So yeah, once you hit a certain milestone in Servpro of a new startup franchise, so not a resale, but once you hit a certain dollar amount, you're gifted a Rolex.
That's awesome. Just the honor of getting it.
Yeah.
Would you wear a Rolex?
I don't think I'm going to wear a Rolex.
Okay, I have a pawn shop guy that I'm really good friends with. But it's just cool to have it, right?
It is, yeah. It's just a memory keepsake that, as you see, I'm wearing a Garmin right now.
Right. Keep track of stuff.
You got to keep track of it, and that's about it. So I don't think I'll ever wear it, but it was a big accomplishment to get there. It's hard work.
Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And we'll end with, tell me about the second time that you got arrested.
Second time I got arrested was in Twin Lakes, Wisconsin, at Country Thunder. And it was for an underage drinking ticket.
Wait, are you telling me that there's underage drinking at Country Thunder?
No, man, I can't.
How in that? Okay, so this would be my problem. If you were my son, I would be so angry with you. Not for drinking, but I would say, how in the hell did you get busted? Because there's thousands of people underage drinking.
So when you are at the campgrounds and it's like 3:30 in the morning, and these sheriffs roll through in a little ATV, and there's like 8 people that are all 17 and 18, they're pretty quick to keen in on opening the cooler.
Yeah, so you're one of the last ones up over there too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So that's how I got my second one.
I'm gonna have to tell you that's good work.
Yeah.
Because that's it's not an easy thing to do, get busted for that.
Yeah.
I'm not encouraging that anybody does that, but
it was the second time and the last time.
Second, good. We're not going to talk about the first. We'll leave it alone if it was before that. So we'll let everybody use their imagination.
If you want to use your imagination, it was just a repeat the year before. So.
At Country Thunder?
At Country Thunder.
You did not.
I didn't go again after the second time. I was done after that.
Gosh. So. Okay. But was it that late at night too?
Yeah, it was that late at night. Yeah.
Great. I'm glad that you learned quickly.
Yeah. Don't go to don't go to Country Thunder under the age of 21. Right. It's just not worth it.
It's hilarious at that time of night.
Exactly.
We digress.
Nothing good happens at 3:30 in the morning.
No, anywhere.
Exactly.
Right. You can fall down. You can break your ribs. You can get arrested. You can do whatever.
Exactly.
There's some bad stuff that can happen.
Exactly.
All right. So hey, as we're wrapping up, first of all, I want to say I appreciate you. Being here. I love the work that you do because as it is a job, but you're also helping people in the community, and you seem to care a lot about what you're doing as well. Yeah. And I encourage everybody all the time that when we're usually at Shop Local, if you want to go get a hot dog or donuts or something like that. But in this case, if you do run into an emergency at your home or know somebody that does, there's people you have to go to, so we might as well shop local too and give it to local families.
I absolutely appreciate it.
Anything else that Grayslake needs to know about you, Servpro, anything that we've left out? I'm sure there's a ton of stuff, but anything important that you wanted to mention?
I think we covered pretty much everything on here. I appreciate the community here. It's just such a great community to be a part of.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. And it shows like this that we try to keep things coming back, because some people are like, well, why'd you have Servpro on? Right. Because it's another business, and it's people that everybody makes their livelihood, and this is where we live. Right?
Yeah, like I said, fun show to be a part of. I mean, you're doing a great job with it.
And
even like I said, I'm a silent business owner in the community. I don't have a storefront or anything like that, but even us, I listen to the show all the time, and I hear from, I listen to everybody there, and like you said,
you've listened to a lot, huh?
I've listened to a lot, yeah.
Yeah, good, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Shop local. I try to eat local.
Yes.
I mean, all the places downtown, and even not just on Center Street, but
yes.
all the folks around. I mean, it's such a big difference when we go local with people. It helps everybody so much of the community.
Absolutely. And that's what I always just keep doing it. So,
yep.
Drake, thank you so much for being in here. Thanks for your time. And Grayslake, wherever you guys are listening, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button, whether you're on Apple, whether you're on Spotify, whether you're on YouTube, wherever the heck you're listening. That way, every Tuesday, you will get an alert of a new guest coming on. And kind of like what Drake and I just spoke about, too. Listen to some of the people you don't know, because I think it's kind of cool when you don't know something about the community. I ran into a girl this past week, and she's like, thank you. I know so much more about our town because I listen to the show. And I'm not mocking you if you're listening, but it was probably the biggest honor I got, because it's like, I'm like, every day it's like continuing education for me. I know all kinds of really cool stuff. And as we always end, random acts of kindness. We never know what people are going through. We never know whether a stranger, whether you're a friend or a family member. Get out there and do something nice for somebody today, whether it's smiling for them, whether it's volunteering your time. Make a call to CEDAL, see what they can do, see if you can help out, or any organization like that. But simple things go a really, really long way. So, Grayslake, thank you guys for listening. Drake, once again, thank you for being on, buddy. And Grayslake, we will see you next Tuesday.